court accepts the existence of God every time a witness swears to tell the truth. I think it's about time they accept the existence of the devil.
For those who are unaware, I absolutely love The Conjuring 1 and 2. My house! And the concept of a horror cinematic universe is one of the most exciting things to me. I've watched the first 2 Annabelle movies and The Nun, as well as the 2 Conjuring movies, and I've seen The Curse of La Llorona as well. And I enjoyed Annabelle Creation, didn't particularly enjoy any of the others. Curse of La Llorona was one of the most bang average, mediocre, forgettable horrors I've ever seen. Annabelle was, I don't really remember anything about it. The Nun was just, it sucked fat to batty hole.
This is really embarrassing.
And then Annabelle Creation was actually pretty good, in my opinion. The first 2 films I loved, as I said, and I had my hopes and I was hyped because I loved the first 2, but I was also anxious because it wasn't James Wan. And thankfully I was actually surprised, because the closer we got, the more I worried about it, and when I saw it, I really enjoyed it. It was considerably better than the director's last addition to this universe, The Curse of La Llorona. This, however, is considerably better. That being said, it is the worst out of the 3 mainline Conjuring movies. We're thrown right into the action in this one, and I think that sequence, the exorcism of David, is the scariest and most impactful of the movie. It knows what to and what not to show. The camera work is great, the effects, the music, it's all just breathtaking, and because we're thrown right into the fucking absolute fear of what is going on here. And there are other scenes throughout this film that get to that level, or get close to that level. I mean, this director knows how to craft some pretty cool scares, and there are a few memorable scary points in this movie. As the 3rd film in a trilogy, it couldn't do the exact same haunted house formula as the first 2. While the first film was basically an exact haunted house, the second one kind of, but a little bit less so. This time, it went in a almost totally different direction. And the real life case is fascinating and really interesting. I know they're loosely based, but still. The main antagonist in this film isn't actually a straight up demon, it was a Satanist, which I had no idea going into this film was the case. I was really surprised, and it was really cool to see that develop, for me to realise that, oh shit, this is the bad guy. And it provides us with some really scary shit. The actress for this woman is really creepy, really spine-chilling performance. I mean, the hairs in my ass crack were standing. I mean, thankfully it wasn't like The Shining or Hereditary, where they stood up so much they fell off. What? Just me? Have you never been that scared? Oh. As I said though, the attempts at new stuff is complete to differing quality, and whilst the Satanist is scary, why is she doing any of this? Like, I get she became obsessed and fascinated because of her father, but what is she getting out of completing this ritual? I honestly thought it was going to lead to the fact, like, she'd summoned the nun, which honestly could have been pretty cool if it was well executed, which I think it probably would have been, but it wasn't, and we really know nothing about the demon that's there. And why is this ritual so elaborate for it to get a soul, whereas the first 2 movies doesn't have to kill 3 people and have a host commit suicide or what? I don't fucking remember the specifics, alright? Stop getting mad at me. I mean, I don't have a problem with the ritual, but it's just kind of why. As I say though, it's still a cool idea, and that's something throughout this film I find conceptually great, but each of these things aren't all executed in the best way. But something I was really glad about was the characters. I care about Ed and Lorraine as individuals. James Wan made sure of that in the first 2. And I care about their relationship, which plays a significant part of this film. And the stakes are risen for these characters, as Ed has a heart attack right off the bat from the exorcism of David, and this is a constant threat at all times through the movie. From something as simple as a light jog through the woods, he could have a fatal heart attack, let alone adding the fact that they deal with goddamn demonic shit. I don't want to see him die. I don't want either of them to die in these movies. I actually care about them. Like, the end, the scene in the second movie when Ed is helping the family be a family again, singing Elvis, and in this film when Ed is kind of possessed kind of thing, and almost kills Lorraine, but then afterwards Lorraine has one of Ed's heart pills. It's all so great, and hearing about how they met, and it's so fucking good, man. I love their relationship. It's so well done, and it's continually well done in this film, thank God. And I was on edge because, like I said, they're loosely based on, like, the cases are real and Ed and Lorraine are real and whatever, but as in, it doesn't mean they can't kill them off, you know? These are still Hollywood movies. I care about our new guy Arnie, who is the one being traumatized this time around, and I like him. We learn a fair bit about him, and I care about his relationship with his girlfriend Debbie Glatzel and her brother, who was the originally possessed kid, David Glatzel. And like I said, the exorcism of David was my favourite part of the movie. Just everything about it was so well executed. I don't think it needs to be said how amazing the acting is. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga have honestly solidified themselves to my actors at the moment, purely from this franchise. I've seen them in other things as well, which they are great in the other things, but because of their chemistry and partially because of their writing as well, they're really solidified purely from this trilogy of movies as some of my favourite actors. And I never heard of Rory O'Connor. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, I'm really sorry. But I'd never heard of him before his role as Arnie in this film, and he's really good. They're all really good in this film, but those are the primary three, I guess, that deserve a solid mention. This film, I think Sean Chandler actually said it in his ranking of these movies. This film is genuinely good, but there is a considerable James Wan-shaped hole in the heart of it. It just kind of felt confused what to do with some of its ideas, and I'm excited to see what comes out next in the Conjuring universe, because I don't think there's anything else confirmed at this point. And I read there was meant to be a post-credit scene, but I thought it could come back at a later point in a different capacity of its own, which means there are at least ideas, I suppose. But I'm not sure why James Wan decided not to direct this one. And he did the same thing with Insidious, I believe. He just directed the first two and then went off. Did he just not like making more than 2 movies? I really have no clue. Whilst fairly less scary and not as good as the other two, still very enjoyable and a decently well made movie. But as I said, make your own opinions. This is just my own and I'm just sharing for fun. It doesn't match up to the first two really at all, primarily because you can tell it's directed by someone else and he doesn't have the talent that or he doesn't bring the talent that he has to this film as James Wan brought to the other two. I think more the execution of new ideas let this one down quite a bit, and it feels like the story's trying to be very linear, but it doesn't end up. It ends up swaying in a few different ways, some good, some bad, in my opinion, but definitely worth a watch, and I would recommend it. And as I say, if you love it or hate it, please let me know. As I always say, fuck me and my opinions. Take care.